Okay, crafty friends, if you have been crafting for any amount of time, you've probably wondered about creating your own SVG cut files. How easy is it to do that? And can you do it yourself? And the answer is yes. I have another video over on my channel showing you how to make your own SVG cut files using Canva and Inkscape. This used to be like just my favorite duo for creating SVGs, and if you want maximum customizability and you want like a really manual experience, I still recommend that 100%. In fact, I'm probably gonna do an updated video on Procreate and Inkscape as a pair for creating SVG cut files, but today we're gonna talk about my new favorite method for creating your own multi-layered SVG cut files for beginners, and that is Canva and SVG Trace. So if you've ever wanted to know about doing this, but you've never done it before, or you're just looking for like an easier way to create SVG cut files, today is for you. I'm about to rock your world. I'm about to change your life. I'm about to help you level up your crafting. Even more so, at the very end, we're gonna touch very briefly on how you can sell these on Etsy or on your own website to make some great passive income. So before we jump right into making our SVG in Canva, I do have a little like prerequisite that I need to tell you about really quick, and that is, if you've never created your own SVG cut files, you might be thinking, wait, what even is an SVG cut file? SVG is a file type that is commonly used by cutting machines like Cricut, Silhouette, StarCraft Solo, and by laser machines like the Glowforge or Xtool or whatever laser you might use. They differ from like a PNG file or a JPEG file in that where PNGs and JPEGs are flat files where all the information for that file is stored on a single layer, often those are used for like print then cut or making stickers, those kinds of things. An SVG file is different in that the data is housed layer by layer. So you can actually manipulate each layer individually. You can change the color of each layer. You can move things around, delete, customize. They're much easier to work with. They actually tell your Cricut or whatever cutting machine you're using or whatever laser you're using what cut path to follow for each individual layer. So they're much more complex, and they allow us to create beautiful, multi-layered, multicolored, multi-material projects, all with one file. They are not that hard to make. I'm going to show you how to make one today with Canva and SVG Trace, which is my new easy way for making SVG files. Let's jump right in. Okay, so here we are in Canva. We're going to go to create a design, and then I'm going to create a custom size, and we're going to make it 1500 by 1500 pixels. This is a really good size for SVG files, and it keeps us like clean and the same every single time. So I click create a new design. It's going to take us to our canvas here in Canva. One thing I should say is if you're planning to sell this SVG cut file, you will want to use only free elements. So to sell a digital file using something you made in Canva, you cannot use their pro elements. Now, you could sell a design you made like on a shirt that you used pro elements for, but if you want to sell the actual cut file, the digital product, only free elements are able to be used. So, little caveat. So the first thing we're going to do is go to elements, and we're going to search for kind of what we're looking for. So let's just look up like summer elements. I don't know what I want to make yet, but I'm going to click see all under the graphics here. And then I'm not going to be worried about only looking at free elements because I don't plan to sell this file, but if I did want to only look at free elements, I would select this slider tool, this like filter tool, and I would go down and make sure I'm only looking at free elements. While we're here though, let's go ahead and only look at static elements because an animated element is not going to be super useful to us for this project. I like this little summer thing here, this little logo. It has a lot of colors in it, but it is real cute. I do love this beach ball, and I love this little flamingo. So maybe we're gonna make something out of these two here. I'm just kind of using the corner to resize my design. I can also hover away from it a little bit, but still clicked on it, and use this to rotate if I wanted to. I'm just gonna kind of use my resize tool though to place these like in a spot that I like here. So I kind of like them overlapping a little bit like that. We could also use our position tool right here if we wanted to move the flamingo behind the beach ball or back in front. These are just like some general editing tools in Canva if you're unfamiliar. I do love our little fruit there, but it doesn't really match. I love that. That's so cute. Okay, I love this, but I am gonna make a little comment about it while we're here because this is really important when we're making our own cut files. Remember that when you're making a cut file for like your Cricut or your laser cutter, whatever it is, it has to be able to be cut out by the Cricut. So when we have an image like this that has a lot of texture, like you can see where the brush didn't like really get a full stroke here on the S, we've got like some texture and some shading. Those are not usually ideal elements to use for a cut file because the Cricut is is really gonna struggle. I mean, it's gonna try to cut all of these little dots out. It just makes it a really complicated file, a really difficult to work with file. It would not be my recommendation to lean towards an element that has a lot of texture or shading like that. So instead, we wanna look for something more like this. It doesn't have as much texture, doesn't have as much shading, just simpler. But I really just want some sort of text to kind of go over this. And I'm actually gonna go use the text tool. I'm not immediately seeing kind of what I'm looking for. So we're gonna go to our text tab right here. I'm just gonna click on my heading. We'll change the font here in a second. We'll just make it say Hot Girl Summer. So I've got it kind of how I want it. I actually love this font, but if you want to change your font, you can go right up here, click the drop down menu, and look at the massive amount of fonts that are located in here. We'll just go ahead and change it because why not? Find something retro maybe. That's pretty cute. We will use that one. Once we have what we're looking for, we can change the color. We can even click this plus button here on the colors and use the eyedropper to pick a color that is exactly in our design, which is always nice, especially if you really want to make sure that it matches or coordinates. And I'm also going to use an effect here. I'm going to click on effects and move myself so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to click on curve and utilize like the curvature kind of my design here to make this look a little cuter. So I kind of like it like that. Okay, so this is a completed design. Like, I really like it. I think it looks great. You can use the draw feature, by the way. I almost never use it, but if you're working from like an iPad and you have like an Apple Pencil, this is kind of a cool feature to really like customize your designs that much more. Just FYI, you can use that. Other than that, this is really all you would use in Canva. Canva, they extend their element library constantly. They have tons of illustrators and artists that work with them to put new graphics and elements in the system all the time. So if you're feeling like your concern with Canva is that you may not have like the creative freedom you're looking for, I assure you that's not an issue. You will definitely find what you're looking for and then some. One quick thing about the elements in Canva that I do like to mention to people though, let's add a new page and let me show you really quickly. There's kind of two different types of elements you can find in Canva. There's elements that people have uploaded that are flat, meaning like you can't edit the colors on them. That would be like both of these ones I picked here. When I click on it, if this is just someone's like PNG or JPEG file, like with the text, you can see I have an option to change the color, but with these I don't. So that's one type of element you're gonna find a lot. The other type of element you find a lot is one like this. So this is already like a multi-layered element and I can manipulate each color of it individually and change it to whatever I want, which is really nice to have that functionality within Canva. I tend to lean towards elements like this just because you get that extra layer of customization, which is really nice. Today though, we are not gonna do that because I love the colors of this just fine, so we're gonna use it. Once you've created your SVG in Canva, you have it exactly how you want it. If you're gonna sell it, make sure that every element you used is a free element, just a reminder on that. Then you're gonna click share up here in the upper right-hand corner, and you want to download it as a PNG with a transparent background. You don't need to adjust the size at all, but selecting transparent background is really important because we don't want this white square to be part of our design. That's not part of our SVG. We don't want it. So using transparent background eliminates it. Select download and it's gonna go to your downloads folder. So you'll see it pop up right here in your browser or whatever kind of computer you're using. You just need to be able to access your downloads folder. And then you're gonna hop over to svgtrace.com. But let's kind of look at their two options really quick so I can explain what it is. They do have SVG Trace free, which allows you to create SVGs with their web-based online converter, which is what we're gonna be using today. So they also have their pro version, which allows you to use SVG Trace from an app. And the app is just a one-time fee of $12.99. I did pay for it and I don't regret it a single day. But I'm just gonna go ahead and click sign in up here and show you kind of what the interface looks like. You can see here's a bunch of images I've uploaded in the past and turned into SVGs. I do use it a lot. It is really, really great. Honestly, it uses the power of AI to turn flat images into SVGs and it is really, really effective. They also have this new part of it that they just came out with. I actually haven't played with it all that much, but maybe we will as part of this video actually, which is they have an AI generator. So if you didn't create your image like in Canva like we did today, you could also generate images right there within the platform, which is very cool. But for now, let's finish up what we were working on from Canva. So I'm gonna click upload an image. I'm gonna go to my downloads and grab the one I just downloaded. There she is. And then next you're gonna be on this little like editing screen, and you can see that it's gonna automatically pull as many colors as it sees from your design. But then what you're gonna need to do is you're gonna automatically have like this little dropper tool, and you're gonna come in and click on any colors that it didn't notice. And then it's gonna update your little SVG preview up here in the corner based off of what you're clicking. So you can see right now, like his little nose is that hot pink color, and that's because it didn't pull the black yet. It's saying, well, if you don't want that many layers, we'll just make it pink. But I do want that layer, so I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna turn it to black, and then you can see my preview is gonna update up here in the corner, and it's starting to look more accurate. So you can kind of go through and delete or add colors as many as you want. So maybe like, let's say I don't want this dark pink color. I can actually go in and just delete it. And when I do that, it's gonna show me what color it's gonna auto select. So it's gonna choose that other pink color kind of from the other side of our design to pull in there. And if I were to delete this other pink, I'm gonna wager it's gonna pull in that same color again. It actually pulled in the peach color. And then you can go in and kind of like change those things after the fact, but for now, it's showing you kind of what it's gonna do on its own. So I'm gonna go back and reselect both of those colors because I do want them to be a part of our design. But just know that that is an option if you pull a design that has too many colors and you actually don't want that many layers. You can delete them and it will auto-select similar colors to use instead. In terms of the editing tools down here, I tend to not mess with these too much. This is just how much smoothness, speckling, and curvature it's gonna apply to your design. If you have a design that's really hand-drawn looking and pretty jagged, I'll sometimes bump up this simplify curves just a little bit, but overall, the default settings tend to do a really good job. Once you've kind of got it where you want it, you can click convert up here, and you can see it converted this to an SVG, just like that. So I can see all my different layers here. I can click on them individually and see what they all look like. I can even reorganize my layers. And then I can also edit them piece by piece. So I could come in here and say, and change colors now if I wanted to, layer by layer. We've got undo, redo, we can crop, we can move things around, we can change our color fill by setting it to another color from our design or using a custom color. We can even erase if we want to. Vacuuming is similar to erase, but it like follows the path. And then we can utilize Smart Cut to remove or add in sections that maybe we don't want. So if I come in here and I use Smart Cut to get rid of this, it will kind of like invert the image for us. So it will change what is cut to be the blank space or the inverted space, if that makes any sense. So the Smart Cut feature is good if you want to invert your design. Vacuum and erase are both good for removing portions that you maybe don't want. I've had that before when I like pull an image from the internet and it maybe has like some text on it that I don't want. I utilize the erase feature for that. But I'll show you kind of how accurate it is here. If I wanted to come in with my erase tool and maybe just get rid of like a whole section, I could do that. And then I'll show you how vacuum is different. When I utilize vacuum, I can actually like more scrub. I can go in and like vacuum little negative space elements that I don't want. Actually, okay, I'm sorry, Hannah. I'm about to go back and talk about these editing tools again because I feel like I'm not doing a good job. Yeah, let's go back and talk about the editing tools again. So let's rewind to the point where I talk about the individual layers. So you can see we can look at each individual layer, but then we also have several editing tools that I want to talk about really quick. Undo and redo are self-explanatory. We all know what crop does. Drag allows us to move around on our canvas without moving the actual design. Color fill allows you to select an existing color from your design to change a layer to or select a new color entirely. So this is kind of what we were talking about on the previous screen where you have further editing options from this point on. And then we've got some really cool tools to further play with your design. So let's use like this as an example. I might want to use this as kind of like my backing layer. And as a result, I might not want to like line it up perfectly behind my design. I might just want it to be filled in white. So if you want to do that, you can use your vacuum tool to actually, oh, I just did it backwards. Okay, so let's talk through these last 4 editing tools as well. We do have Erase, where we can change the size of our eraser. That's where you can come in and remove individual elements. We also have Autofill, which is usually not at all what you want it to do, but it is there. Like if I autofilled this, I wonder if it would fill it correctly. It actually did a pretty good job. It's supposed to fill in the negative space amid your design, but if you don't have like a closed circle, it can struggle. So like it filled in our little our flamingo right there, but it kind of struggled with our beach ball. So you can see what autofill does to this one, just straight struggle bus. It'll probably do better on this one. It does a good job with closed loops or like closed elements, but if you have a lot of open space on your design, it can struggle a little bit more. Vacuum is very similar to Erase, but it kind of allows you to follow a path a little bit easier. So if I wanted to vacuum this, you can see it just kind of like erases as I go. That is Vacuum. A lot of people I know also use Vacuum to get rid of negative space. So if I wanted like this one little line to go away, but I wanted to keep this big one because maybe that's just gonna be too small for vinyl, I could come in and just vacuum it up. So Smart Cut is similar to Erase and Vacuum in that it's really good for removing parts of your design that you don't want, but it utilizes kind of knowing where the boundaries of that cut are and trying to basically remove the whole thing. So if I click this, it's just gonna remove that section. Also, to note with Smart Cut, if I go to remove something that is a closed element, it's gonna fill it in for me, and then I would have to like click it again to get rid of that additional element. So it's going to give me the inverse, and then I can continue clicking to get rid of the rest. But if it's a closed shape, just know that you're gonna get an invert first, and you then have to kind of work your way backwards. So Erase, Vacuum, and Smart Cut all serve like really similar purposes for removing portions of our design that we don't want. And then Autofill does the inverse. It allows you to kind of fill in sections of things, but if you don't have a closed shape, it's gonna struggle. And then obviously Color Fill allows us to change the color of our design. So we can see the finished product here is pretty much exactly like what we designed in Canva, but now we have these individual layers of our design that we didn't have from Canva. If you have Canva Pro, you might know that Canva does have a feature that allows you to export your file as an SVG, and it will have multiple layers. But I have had not great luck with that feature, and I find that the SVGs that it exports are really messy. They have a ton of layers to work with. Like we're talking 50 plus layers, and it can be really complicated to work with those designs. So I think this really simplifies it, and it allows you to create an SVG that's all your own out of basically anything. So let's export this really quickly. I'm gonna throw it into Cricut Design Space really fast, just so you can see how well these SVGs really work. Okay, here we are in Cricut Design Space. I'm just gonna really quickly upload my design that I just downloaded there, just so you can see kind of what it looks like. So here it is coming in. It looks a little blurry, but that's only because it's kind of a small SVG and Cricut blows it up big time. It's gonna look great here in just a second. We don't have to do any work to it. We're just gonna hit upload. Okay, so here is our design brought into Cricut Design Space. Typically it doesn't look like this. I was actually just noting like it looks like our O is filled in, our R's are filled in, and like this little section doesn't have the colors on it that it's supposed to. I think this is a Cricut Design Space issue because I just went to click make it, and if you look at the preview for each section, like especially here with our letters, they're correct. So you can see that like there is a cut where it's supposed to be. So I don't know why our preview is looking weird, but I've actually never had that happen before with SVG Trace. Of course it happens the day I'm like filming a video, but I think it's just a Cricut Design Space preview error and not an SVG Trace error, because when I go to click make it, this is correct. Everything here, I already double checked it off camera, and everything here is correct. So like this is all cutting correctly, but anyway, there you go. That's how easy it is to pull it into Cricut Design Space. And this will cut correctly. So that's really the whole process in a nutshell. From Canva to SVG Trace into Cricut Design Space, it really is like a 10 out of 10 program. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. Let's hop away from the computer and do a little closeout to this video and talk about what's next. Okay friends, so that was creating your own SVG cut file using Canva and SVG Trace, which is my new fave for creating quick, easy, and workable SVG cut files that you can use with your laser cutting machine or just your regular old cutting machine. So in the future, I would love to do an updated video talking about Canva paired with Inkscape, which is a free program that really allows you to manually customize your SVG files in like a very cool way. It's a little bit more advanced than SVG Trace, but it's very, very fun and I think very much worth learning. So if you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. And then another video that I plan to make soon is Procreate plus SVG Trace and Procreate plus Inkscape, which is an iPad app that allows you to physically draw your designs on your iPad and then export them either to SVG Trace like we did today or to Inkscape to then turn them into usable, workable cut files. SVG creation is one of my favorite things to teach. It's one of my favorite things to do. I think it really allows you to level up your crafting game and it really unlocks a whole new world of crafting possibilities. I promised you I'd talk about selling your files online, so I will really quickly tell you, I do have a course called the Ultimate SVG Creator Course. It uses the Canva plus Inkscape method, but a whole section of the course is devoted to teaching you how to sell your cut files on Etsy for passive income. I do this personally. I know lots of people who do this and make a really good monthly income doing so. It's just a great way to get some extra income for your family or to turn your crafting hobby into a crafting business because you don't have to ship anything. So basically the idea is you upload your file to Etsy, you can sell digital products on Etsy, and then whenever somebody buys it, it triggers Etsy to automatically deliver that file to them on the back end. So you don't have to do any delivery, you don't have to do any shipping, you don't have to worry about stock, you don't have to worry about materials. You just make your file, you make sure it's clean and easy to use, and then you can upload it and sell it on Etsy, which I think is really rewarding, really fun. And it allows you to equip other crafters to expand their own cut file libraries. Definitely check out the course if that's something you're interested in learning, or maybe we just need to do a crash course here on YouTube. Let me know in the comments below what you want to learn about SVG cut files, what you want to learn about making SVG cut files, and I would love to make it for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I'm back here every week with all the crafty tips, tricks, and tutorials. Leave me a comment below what you want to see next. Definitely find me on social media. I am at It's Laura Lambert everywhere you do socials. I would love to connect with you personally, but until next time, happy crafting and happy SVG creating.